Okay, hi again. I'm back. I'm finally gonna finish this drawing, and I actually was going to do it all in Twitch, but yesterday I was sort of inspired and I started painting. Let me lower the music volume for a second. There. If it's too high while I talk, let me know, and so I can twitch it. So I can tweak all of these little things. So yeah, yesterday I was sort of inspired to draw, and I wanted to finish Arcane. So I actually started drawing, and I ended up doing a lot more than I initially thought. So I ended up painting for like 2 hours, and I added all the shadows, as you can see here on the hair, and then on the face I added all of these. So basically a few shadow layers that I ended up adding all in these. Then I add always a shadow of blush over here, just because it makes it more realistic. A face does have some redder faces, it's just normal. And then a couple of shadows, of layers of light. This one over here is very soft, but then you add the rest. And this is very shiny. And I like this. I like the effect that I got because I wanted to represent the photos that I've seen where she's like sort of blushed and has very dark shadows on her face. And I feel like it's more dramatic, and it probably has a lot to do with the show that I haven't seen though, but seems like it has to do with the show. So that's what I did. Right now, today, I just need to finish the tracksuit and add a couple of details I want to add in her eye, well, in her face. And when that's done, we're done. So I'm not sure how long that's gonna take, but let's stay together to do that. So let me do a couple of things for a second and I'll start painting. Okay. Let's start shading. Hi to everyone that's there. If anyone wants to ask any questions about my process or anything, just let me know. I always use sort of purple tones for shading, unless the situation is very specific. It usually works really well for skin colors, and if I see that it doesn't fit with certain colors, I'll just switch it. But usually I'll keep those sort of purplish lilac tones with the multiply layer. I use a masking layer so I don't get out of the borders, and I start shading. I shade with this brush that is a bit softer, and it gives me a great control. Okay. The color usually seems very harsh at first, but it softens a lot later because I take off opacity on the layer, so don't worry about that. Let's give these numbers some depth. The clothes are not my main focus point. I don't want that much interest in there. I don't want people to be the first thing they look. So I'm not going to be adding as much details as I would in a face. Maybe in other sort of paintings I would. In this one I wouldn't. So just take that into account. You don't really need to add the same level of details in everything. It's just not necessary. Okay, I'm gonna make the brush a bit more fluffy first, and add some general shadows. So if you just see by logic where the shadows will be, over here the hair is casting a shadow and the face in general, but mostly the hair because the face is casting a shadow on the neck, obviously. So all this part will be darker. So all of these, I will cast a general shadow like this. Over the white, I don't want to cast such a harsher shadow because it's white, so it's not going to be that dark. Okay, so I'm just going to continue over here. Over here is the neck of her tracksuit is sort of bended. It's going to be darker as well. And I'm just going to add some general shadows over here where the clothes are supposed to have little bends and wrinkles. And just like this, I'm gonna add some shade like this. I'm sort of making it up, but I'm also following some sort of rules, basic rules, of where it will be darker or not. Just by pure logic. Okay, so this is the first layer, so I usually set it up pretty light, just as a base, you know? And as you can see, even if it's over here on 30, it still adds a bit more dimension. It already looks more real, right? Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it about around 30. I liked how that looked. Yes, because over here is already too much. Can you see? I feel like that's too much for now. So I'm gonna leave it on 30. I can't seem to get the 30 now. Well, it's okay. There. I'm gonna go over some parts with darker shadows. Because it already has some dimension, it already seems like there's wrinkles and stuff, so you just need to reinforce where the wrinkles will be more visible. Let me say first, one of these days my Photoshop is gonna crash and I'm gonna lose progress. You can see I sort of forget to save when I'm streaming because I'm more focused on everything. I guess I have more things to be focused on than just the painting, so that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a smaller brush and just add parts that will be much more detailed. Let me set this to multiply. There. I must say this is not one of my favorite parts of drawing, shading and all of that, but it must be, there's something about it because it's a bit satisfying to see how it's turning out. As soon as you zoom out and turn the opacity a bit down and you suddenly see the things, turn out how they should be. So there's something about it. It's just not my favorite part. I usually like line arting, doing the line art. Can you see line arting? Can you say that? But yeah, I usually like the line art part better. It's just personal preference, really. This part can get a bit boring too because it's just basically going over the same parts. So as you can see, I'm going over the same parts as I did before, just adding a bit more shadow this time. I'm not exactly going in the same exact parts. I try to just keep them, I don't know how to explain it. Like, these will be darker parts inside the darker shadows that I added before. So these are not that large. These are sort of like more detailed shadows. Okay. Now I'm going to repeat the process of making my brush a bit larger because this brush, when it's a bit larger, is also softer. So it's nicer to add some softer shadows. For example, I do want more shadow here. I just didn't want it to be that harsh as the one I put down before. So I'm just going over now. I like to do my line art in color, but a lot of times I need to adjust it after I finish painting. So for example, see here, the line art is starting to get lighter than my shadow. It might not be exactly this as soon as I turn the opacity down, but sometimes it does happen. So when that happens, I usually need to darken the line art wherever that is happening. But that's okay. I still like the touch of color, so I prefer to do it this way than just to do it black and then change the color, because I realized that when you do it this way, the other way, I mean, the other way around, like do it dark and then color it, it usually changes the drawing too much by the time that you change the colors. So I prefer to do it this way because I've already gotten used to the color of the line art and I've already played with the colors accordingly. So in this part, if I need to darken something, is still good. But the other way around, I mean, it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it will just be a bit more unnatural and the drawing will look worse. Just because it was not planned around having color line art. And as you might be able to know if you paint, a lot of times when you're doing a painting, two colors might seem to look really good together, but then you grab a color and it doesn't look as well as you think. Or maybe contrasting colors on the screen, it isn't exactly the same as you thought it will be. So it's always much easier to do it this way, in my opinion. Let's turn the opacity down. This is the satisfying part for me, actually. The trick about using purple for shadows, I think most times, is just turning the opacity down until it's barely noticeable that it's purple. That's why a lot of people don't know really that we use purple for shadows. So this is it without it. And I'm really noticing that I don't need that many shadows. So I think I'm going to be pretty soft about this layer. Okay, so over here is already too much. I think I'm going to keep it around the 32 because too soft, I feel that it still looks a bit unrealistic. And over here, it starts to look exactly how I want it. A lot of times, I'm saying this out of experience mainly because I can see that when I'm adding the lights over here, if this is way too light, I'm gonna want to darken this part. So I'm just gonna leave it like this for now, and I'm gonna add no, sorry, the shadows, not the shadows, the lights. Oh, by the way, I saw a white spot over here. Let me fill it up. There. Okay. I've been using orange tones for the shadows. Sort of like this. And some of them have been lighter and have been kept just in a normal layer. Some of them have been changed. So for lighting, I usually vary. Shadows is always multiply, but for lights, I like to experiment. So I'm first gonna apply the lights, then I'm gonna play with the adjustment layers. This way I can see which one fits best. So Some detail shadows, I'm not going to have that many because, as I said, this is not going to be the focus of the drawing. I'm going to add a few little lights over this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go a bit bigger now. Some lights. Let's follow the wrinkles around. One thing about the wrinkles is that not only they produce dark shadows, they also produce some parts where the clothes will be hit by light. Just adding some over here. Keep in mind that I'm working with orange, but it's not gonna look like this when I'm over. Orange is also works really well with green, so. Whoops, too light. Complementary colors help a lot when working with lights, shadows, and all of that. They just help a lot in general. Okay. Okay, it looks really odd and bad right now, doesn't it? Let's play with those layers. So I have my trusty old, but a lot of times I just go down the list just in case you see something interesting. Maybe one day you'll find an effect that works much better than what you were thinking. So some of my trusty olds are, I think this one in English is color dodge, and over here, like I really don't know the translations, I'm sorry. But if you have Photoshop and you open it, you will see the corresponding ones. I almost never use the ones over here. Maybe luminosity, but or brightness. I don't know how it will be called, but very rarely. Okay. Sometimes if I don't have a good feeling about anyone yet, just yet, I set up one of them. Like let's say I want to keep it sort of orangey, and I lower the opacity because that's actually how it's gonna look later. So now, for example, it looks well. It's coherent with the rest of the face because it does have orange shadows and it's not too much. Over here, I don't dislike this one, but the shadows are a bit too white and it seems like a bit incoherent with the rest. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna leave the other one that's a bit more orangey, bring it a bit up, not too much, there. And I think I'm gonna add another shadow of lights with another type of layer. Let's see. Maybe even change the color too. Uh, let's try the color dodge over here. And as you can see, these also work over the one that I had before. It's already lightening the lights that I added before. more than the rest, as you can see. If I apply it, sorry, it has gotten, oh, there. It applies mostly on the lights, as you can see. I was just gonna show you, and it got stuck. Maybe it's better not to play with Photoshop like that, to avoid a tragedy. It's because my brush is too big. When the brush is too big, it usually starts doing things like that. Okay. 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 I think I'm gonna leave it like this. As I said, I didn't really. Oops. I shouldn't combine those two. Okay, so that's done. I don't want to add any more details to the tracksuit, so I'm gonna add some finishing touches to the rest of the face, and then I'm gonna add the details I want to add in her face just to finish off the painting. So, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna see if I want to do color dodge sort of layer on top to add some extra lights just to the whole painting, not to just one part. And then I'm gonna add just some, with some white or almost white, some extra touches of light around the face, like in the eyes, and just, it's subtle, but it works. Color dodge can work really well if you want to add sort of like a special light of sorts. Maybe you can do something like this. You know? And I actually think that this drawing will benefit from something like this. This was just an example. Let's take it off. Um, I don't know if orange though. I like it especially on the hair. I think I'm keeping it. A lot of times I just add an extra layer when I want to do something like this and add a bit more details if I saw that I liked an extra touch in some parts. But I don't want it all to be so harsh, you know? Okay, time for those white details. I always go for the eyes first. Oops, sorry, this should be over the line art, by the way. Also because it adds a nice extra touch to the line art, as you can see, compared with before. But what I'm going to do is lower it a bit over now. There. The shine on the nose always looks good. Okay, I just realized that she has a little bit of a mole over here. Was it over here? Yeah. Little details like that are really important. The highlight part is always pretty satisfying. Okay, despite that I want the highlights to be pretty bright, I always turn it slightly down so it blends in a bit with the base. So I usually don't go lower than 90, but experiment a bit. I think I'm going to leave it over there. Okay. Last sip of coffee, and I'm adding the little symbols to her face. That I think is the thing that is going to bring this portrait to the next level. Oh, I forgot one thing. I want to darken. I always do this. I want to darken the line art in the nose and sometimes in other parts of the face as well, just to give it a bit more character. So mostly I was thinking about the eyeliner over here. I don't know about you guys, but I think I like it better this way. Sometimes I add a bit of shadow to down the nose over here and on the lips. There's some parts that I feel will make the face stand out a bit more. So and again, to help it blend in, I turn it a little bit down. I think around there. Okay. Okay. I don't want it over here to be this harsh, so I'm making a new layer. And lower it a bit. Okay. Not sure if I should add some shades to the hair. Let's try it out as we're doing the finishing touches. Better to do it now than later. I'm googling the signs just to make sure I put them properly. I really don't want any spoilers. I'm trying to be careful. I'm not sure if they're always in the same order, but as far as I've seen them, it seems circle, triangle, square. So let's see. trying to think about what color to make them. I'm thinking red. I haven't seen the show, so if that will give me any hints, now I'm not sure. Okay, let's start with the triangle because I wanted to place it in the eye. Okay. Okay, this wasn't it. There. Okay, I don't have this part entirely thought out. So I'm just gonna experiment a bit with it. Whoops. Can't remember where the menu for the shapes is, and I'm getting annoyed. Okay, let me make the other shapes because I'm sort of fighting with the triangle, not exactly sure about where to put it. Let me make the circle too and see where that leaves us first. Oh, there we was. That's what I was looking for, by the way, before. Sometimes I just don't get Photoshop. Things appear or you find them really easily. Other times it's just impossible. Okay, so the circle is slightly smaller than the triangle. I should make it bigger. Um, My initial thought was to put a circle inside the eye, but I thought that that might be a bit too obvious. So I'm not sure if this is better or not. I'm just gonna play along with them when I have them done. There. Okay. Okay. There. I'm gonna make it thicker. Not sure how much thicker. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure. Maybe it would look better with a circle on the eye. Okay, I'm gonna keep circle on the eye as I initially thought. Mainly not because I mean, I do like how the triangle looks over the eye. I think it looks better. But I don't like how the circle looks up here. It just, I don't know, for some reason it feels a bit lost in there. I like it better when it falls on her face. So I'm gonna keep this. The thing is, I wasn't going to exactly leave them like this. I was thinking about adding some sort of a neon-y layer. Not exactly sure how to do this, but we'll experiment a bit. So, yeah, maybe something like this, actually. Okay. I'm thinking I really like them in this color. Which one was it? This one. So let me check. No, I like it better on the side of the face. It's a bit more clean. So there. I think the triangle needs to be a bit there. Let me combine them. I think I have them properly placed. There. What am I doing? I'm sorry if this part is a bit more boring. I just sort of need to tweak things until they look how I want them to. So, might be a bit more boring. Okay, I think that was bothering me. For some reason, I just I didn't like it like this because it sort of seems like it's ruining the eye. But I didn't like it like in a medium point either. So I'm thinking leaving it a bit light like this, like it's sort of mixed with her eye somehow. I think in around here. While these are a bit dark, a bit just more intense on her face. Maybe even with another effect, let's see. So it feels like it's sort of tattooed on her face or something. Okay, you can't see it like this. And I'm gonna try to add the neon-y sort of layers. So let's see. I feel like a bit of Gaussian blur will be good. Not sure how many though. Like around here, I start to like it, but I do like it too, sort of like this. I think I'm gonna keep it like this. Okay. Not sure if I should apply some Gaussian blur to the previous ones as well. Not maybe that intense, just a little bit. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Not convinced. Let's go back. There. Okay. I found what I wanted. Wait. Hmm. Okay, I'm not too mad about the red version in big. Let's leave it like this and add the other ones. Now let's add a triangle. there. Some Gaussian blur. Once you figure out the process you want, it's just repeating again. So you get the same results. Oh. Okay. There. This layer is doing nothing. I'm thinking that maybe I can even use different colors on them. So let's see. Oh, I like the idea of the triangle going a bit into her eye. And even with another color as well. So which one is the one that we used here? Divide. Whoops. No, there. Okay, let's add the square now and finish. I'm thinking about keeping the triangle white. This one, I think. This one isn't bad either. Okay, so I think this one. But I'm gonna make it slightly smaller. I didn't like it going into the nose. So let's see, like this, maybe. Okay, I have another idea. Let me undo the things that I've just done. There. There. I like it better like this. So it has a bit more definition. I think that's what was missing there. I'm gonna make it a bit smaller though. Okay, we're almost done. I like it because I'm already seeing it almost there. So what did I add to this one? Okay. Took me a bit to figure out what I wanted to do here, but once you have it, it's just working a bit towards it and you'll get there. I have the idea, I just didn't know how exactly to put it on the canvas. Okay, this is a bit smaller than it should be. These last decisions are always like constant. Okay, I think I like it better down here. Let's keep it like that. I have a bit of an idea. I'm just gonna quickly test it. If I don't like it, I'll discard it. I was sure I wasn't going to keep it, but I'm thinking that I like it. In sort of one of these layers where it's not as seen. Uh, Something like this. Turning it a bit down even. There. I didn't really want it to be that visible. So I think that's it. I think I'm gonna leave it here. So I'm just gonna sign it and yeah, I don't know. What do you think? It took me a real good while to figure out what to do with her face, but I'm not mad. It's just sometimes you need to figure it out properly. I really wanted that to be. I wanted it to be a bit different than just your normal portrait. So I think that adds a bit to it, obviously. Um, okay, so for the signing, I just usually take a color out of the canvas so it's a bit more coherent, and I hide it somewhere in the piece. Usually a place where there's nothing really that important, so it doesn't distract from the painting. I think I'm gonna grab the white instead of this color. And I always like to have the ear very, very tiny. There. And I'll lower the opacity a bit. I'm gonna make it smaller. Just there. There you go. And this is it. That's all. Oh, finally. I think I'm gonna start drawing something from Arcane soon because I wanted to have this and the next print from Arcane for my next convention. But I'm gonna leave this here. I have a few things to do, so I'm not gonna continue the stream. And hopefully I'll have something to stream in a couple of days from Arcane. Again, I'll start from scratch, so I'll stream the process here. I hope you liked it. I'm gonna now prepare this file for printing and all of that, and start making prints. So thank you so much for staying there with me, and I hope you had fun. I hope you liked seeing my process, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!